Good evening, welcome to a live edition on a Wednesday evening on Last Bell Boxing, joined by, I can't call him a regular anymore because he's been off gallivanting down Cheltenham. Harrison, good evening, Harrison.
Evening, Carl. Fantastic to see you and the boys again. Nice to be back on.
No problem. And Daz, good evening, Daz.
Evening all.
And last but no way least, down in Brighton, Sean, good evening, Sean.
Evening, boys.
So I feel like I've got to put a little disclaimer on at the beginning of the video. So I am in won't name the hotel, but the Wi-Fi isn't the greatest, guys. So if I drop out a little bit, I'm using that as my excuse. So moving on to the first topic. So Nick Ball won again at the weekend. I did like I'm not sure about him kicking an opponent. I think the point should have been taken off for that person there, but he still won the fight by some margin. There's talks of Inoue back end of the year, maybe early next year. Carl Frampton was getting very excited on the TNT broadcast, making all sort of outlandish comments regarding who wins that fight. So I'm going to come to Daz first. I know he's a big Nick Ball fan and he thinks he'll beat Inoue. Daz, give us your breakdown the fight, and if this fight does take place with Inoue, I think I know where you're going with this, but give us your thoughts on that as well.
Well, I mean, the fight with TJ Donner was a bit bizarre for the first round. I mean, he kicked him. I mean, it was like, right, that's a bit crazy. Did what Nick Ball does for me. TJ Donner is a tough kid, though, isn't he?
Very tough.
Really tough kid. So credit to him. I mean, I think he's a bit past his best, to be fair. Nick Ball did what Nick Ball does. I am a fan of Nick Ball. I'm a big fan of Nick Ball. He's one of the fighters who I would actually buy a ticket to go and watch. Yeah, I would actually go and watch him. I'd buy a ticket off him and go and watch him. But nah, come on, Frampton. What are you doing, mate? You know, listen, it's not just Frampton. I mean, there's others that have jumped on. But what has he done to make people think that he would live with Inoue, let alone beat him? You know, he's beat nobody. Inoue, what's he going to do different to, where do I start? I'll be honest, there's only one fighter I think gives Inoue problems at the minute, and I don't think he beats him either. And that's Junto Nakatani. Yeah, but I don't think Junto beats him because I think Junto's too wild. But still.
Do you think Frampton went halfway to saying what? Do you think he realised what he said, but he'd already committed, so he had to go through with it?
I think he's a bit more intelligent than that, to be fair. But I think a lot of people who were in these positions of commentating, so people are going to listen. I think a lot of them, mate, get lost in the moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'd love to be a commentator. I mean, I'd either attract a lot more views or I'd, turn people off, because I'm not being funny, but, I've got a lot of respect for Carl Frampton. But if I'd have been sat aside of Carl Frampton, I'd have just said, I think Leo Santa Cruz hit you harder than we think. No way on this earth. I mean, Nick Ball he's just going to go into him. He's never been hit like he would get hit off in a way. He's never been hit as often as he'd get hit. He'd be getting hit everywhere, to body, to head. He'd just get broke up. You're talking levels. I mean, you know he's going to... I mean, I'm not sure he'd go down as the Asia's but best ever. I mean, he's in conversation, but I mean, listen, he's a generational great in here. I mean, he's unbelievable. I pay him the ultimate compliment. One of my favorite fighters, Ricardo Finito Lopez, strawweight, finished with an unblemished record. He had a dodgy draw on it, and if they fought, mate, honestly, I can see Inoue winning. I just think Nick Ball he's not done anything, and it's not one of them either where you can say, "Well, this could be Nick Ball's coming out party." No, it won't. It'll be Nick Ball's going to hospital party.
I think Nick Ball's made for anyway. The way he jumps in.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Listen, he's come forward and he's aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be walking into absolute. You're going to get, like my dad used to say, you're going to get a shellacking, son. Do you know what I mean? He's just going to get absolutely. He's just not ready for that.
No.
Is he ever going to be ready? No, I don't think he is at all.
I'll bring Harrison in. Harrison,
like I said,
sorry, what does?
No, you're right, mate. I was just going to say, I'm just baffled by people who are supposedly knowledgeable, actually, thinking that. I mean, listen, I'll say Frampton. I mean, Dev Sarni's come out and said something, but I just ignore him anyway. He's he's just an idiot. But yeah, I mean, in no way destruction. To be fair.
Okay, bringing Harrison in. Harrison, same questions to you, but a caveat on the end. If you was managing Nick Ball, would you throw him in for a payday? Because there's no other payday like there is for Inoue, right? So you got to balance that off. So would you attempt to put him at back end of the year, bearing in mind the money he's going to earn?
I can very easily see that being Nick Ball's next fight and Neo Inoue's, because it's a bit of a collision course now, because Inoue's running out of people to fight, and I think although. Like the two things, I suppose, with what had happened there at the weekend was you had the recency bias of actually visually watching a performance, and when something like that happens, you're a bit more inclined to like have that in the back of your mind where you go, I've just seen Ball do this, so I prefer him in that situation. And the other one is just a promoter's aspect. If you're fighting on a broadcaster's channel, you're gonna get hyped up by the people broadcasting the fight. It's not it's not rocket science, is it? So they have to try and make a stronger case for Nick Ball as possible. Having said that, I do think Nick Ball has deserved his opportunity to fight Inoue as well. He's gone up the ranks nice. He's defended this. He's defended his world title a couple of times, and there's nothing really, I think, to put you off Nick Ball being in there. Obviously, Inoue is leaps, bounds, and million miles ahead of everybody in boxing at the minute, not just his own weight division, but the 5 or 6 around him. I've had Inoue as my pound for pound number one for well over 12 months now, since he put Lewis Neri to bed. So, and again, I think Daz has got it spot on. Nick Ball is made for Inoue because he's going to come forward head first. There's no height advantage or anything like that. You're not going to get a reach off Inoue. So, and you're probably going to have to go to Japan to fight him as well. So, or at worst case, Saudi Arabia. Everything is going to be against Nick Ball from the get-go. So I really don't know. He's gonna just get a hope. He has got a bit of power behind him, I suppose. But then if Ball fought Neri, I'd probably have Neri winning as well, just on the style and commotion. So I think Nick Ball is good and deserving of a chance. But like you put in the caption there, ready for Inoue. I don't think anyone could ever be ready for Neo Inoue. He is one of the most phenomenal boxers of all time. Daz was there about the best Asian boxer of all time. It probably is, yeah. It's probably between him and Srisaket Porungvasai, isn't it? I mean, it's that level that we're talking about in terms of high quality. So he's an immense fighter. I hope the fight happens, though. I think it'd be good to watch. Like, you'd get a good British rally behind him, I think. Has he gone? Good,
maybe,
good.
yeah.
He's good at this broadcasting thing, isn't he?
Let's pay for some decent Wi-Fi.
I know, terrible.
I reckon he's in spare room, mate.
What do you think, Sean? Like, what like Nick Ball going forward? I think does he deserve to fight Inoue next?
Yeah, I think he's probably deserving, as you guys have already said. You can't begrudge him for that at all, I don't think. In terms of what Frampton said in his comments, I wouldn't be surprised, as it was the last sort of broadcast that TNT are doing in boxing. I wouldn't be surprised if they did like a bet, or for a joke he said, I'm going to come out with something outlandish here to sort of send us off. So I'm not really sure if he believed what he said. But as for Inoue, yeah, let's be honest, it's a bit of a mismatch, him against Nick Ball.
Yeah,
it does. I do agree with you, lads. It does, he does deserve a big fight and a big payday. It really does, and I think he'll show some bottle.
Oh yeah,
he will, because he's, he'll show some bottle. But I just, we've got someone here in a way that we're gonna, I mean, Harrison and Sean are younger than me, but I'm sure in 30 years, when you're 50, 60, you're gonna say this that in a way was something else. Where when you come into conversations about boxing, there's a comment that I like. I was privileged to be born in that era.
Yeah.
To watch him. And I think he's one of them. He's just. I've watched him. I mean, I watched him by accident to start. I mean, when he was fly. Before he was world champion as well. And I remember watching him and just think. And do you know what struck me about him at the start when I first watched him? The sound of his punches.
Yep.
It was just, and I thought, well, it's probably microphones are a bit different, right ring. And then it happens all the time. He lands punches and they just he's unbelievable. I mean, he ticked a lot of boxes for me and all when he got dropped.
Yeah.
He got dropped, he got up and just stops and adjusted and dismantled. And it was like, yeah, I mean, come on, what, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I dropped out there. Sean, have you had your say on this yet? Or do you want
I have, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next topic then. So Harrison, did you answer whether you'd throw him into to fight Nick, if you'd throw Nick Ball in next or not and earn him the payday?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I think he deserves it, really.
So you would throw him in back end of the year, right?
Yeah, I mean I think that's the only nominal fight to make. Really, there's no one really left for both of them. I don't think.
Interesting. Okay, next topic. A guy that I've written off all the way through his journey in boxing, and he continues to prove me wrong. Fabio Wardley. Now we're all hearing that it's Pulev that is going to fight next at Ipswich. However, Uncle Frank is suggesting it's an American. So, quick round robin here. I'll start with Harrison. Harrison, apart from Pulev, give us your candidates who you think this might be.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't Pulev. I'm sure that's been ordered by the WBA.
It's been ordered, but Uncle Frank's saying it may well be an American.
Well, if Frank's saying it's going to be an American, then my understanding was that it was going to be Pulev, and then there was going to be a forced mandatory straight from Michael Hunter after that, within a 6-month period or something like that. So if that's the case, they may just be bypassing Pulev and going straight to Michael Hunter. He would be probably top of my shortlist at the minute. He's been resurgent. He's getting somewhere back to his best. He's a funny fighter, Michael Hunter. You never really know what version of him you're going to get.
Resurgent's a strong word there, isn't it, Harrison?
Well, I mean, for the high level, it's just for him it is, anyways, because like I said, he's a very confusing heavyweight. I mean, on his day he can perform, but his day seems to come like every leap year, really. Yeah. So he's a tricky one. Jared Anderson's trying to make moves again quietly in the background. I mean, he'll probably be back in the big time. He's already a big name, so you can see.
Risky fight though, Harrison. Risky fight. If Anderson was to lose again.
Yeah, but I don't think. Well, I know he's not the oldest, but I don't think Anderson can sort of tiptoe around with Top Rank for the next 12 months, fighting nobodies, and then expect to get back in the picture. The way boxing is now in this Saudi format is you've got to take big fights when they come your way. So if he's told to fight Wardley, that's got to be what happens, in my opinion. So I think he's got a good chance. I mean, what other Americans is there really? Andy Ruiz, Mexican, but I just don't think Wilder would get into a fight like that anymore. I think Wilder's only interested in like global major names. Like if he's not fighting AJ next, he's probably just not got the appetite to be in the game. It just doesn't, because the thing is, if Wilder comes back and beats Wardley, great for him, but then that Wardley fight will do nothing for Deontay Wilder. All it will do is just put a prospect down, a prospect/contender. So I think the big two names for me would be Michael Hunter and Jared Anderson. But be interesting to see how that all develops.
Yeah. Same question to you, Sean. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Again, I'll be surprised if it isn't Pulev. If it is American fighter he's in against, it'll be one of the guys Harrison's just mentioned there. I don't mind the Anderson fight. I think that would be quite competitive, really. As for Fabio Wardley, I feel like I've been in the one member of his fan club for a while, to be honest. So I'm glad he's finally getting the recognition, and I think he'll probably beat whoever they put in him. I mean, they're not going to put him in a big fight and Ipswich to lose, let's be honest. So I think he'll start their favourite in this fight, whoever it may be.
Yeah, I put my hands up, Sean. I got this one badly wrong because I was writing him up every time he stepped through the ropes. Daz, any new names, or are you sticking with what the lads have said in terms of the opponents, Daz?
No, mate. I was going to say Michael Hunter. I mean, obviously, I thought the Pulev fight was ordered. But yeah, I mean, the only one I could really think was Hunter, and then at a stretch, Jared Anderson.
And you know, Fabio Wilder, just humour me, from a coaching perspective, is he getting better technically, Daz? And how far can he see going?
Listen, he's got a punch. He can hit. He's game. He's got a massive heart. But I think I personally think Moses Itauma would take him apart now.
He'll take most apart, though, won't he? He'll take most people apart, wouldn't he?
You what, mate?
Itauma
yeah,
most people apart.
Probably. I just think he gets it a bit too much. You know, he's exciting, but you can't listen. Joe Joyce is the ultimate example. You can't keep getting it and pulling things out. You know, sometimes you'll gut it well and it is dry. I think he has got some ability though. You know, I mean, I have seen him use his jab and you know, or other fundamentals, but I think his instinct is to have a bit of a tear up, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
and it's hard to, you know, it's hard to manage that. Really, it's working for him.
I keep saying, Daz, he's going to get found out when he gets to a decent level. Where he's at a decent level, he ain't getting found out. So,
no, I think he'll come unstuck at higher level. You know, I think if he's put him with such as like a Cabiel and stuff like that, I think he comes unstuck against him. Yeah. To be fair, and that sort. And then obviously, you know, you're talking Usyk and stuff. But yeah, I mean, listen, he's doing what he needs to do at minute.
Yeah.
And he's exciting to watch.
Yeah. Okay, cheers, guys. Move on to the next one, which is common sense prevails. I would suggest boxing to remain in the Olympics after an IOC U-turn. Do we think Mr. Donald Trump might have had a word in the shell here somewhere? He'll take credit for it. Let's put it that way. So I'll come to Harrison. I'll come to Sean first. Sean, boxing needs to be in the Olympics, right?
Yeah, and we were speaking just the other day of boxing changing people's life around, and there's so many stories of fighters that come through the Olympics and look at where they are now. They're superstars. So as you say, common sense prevailed, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Trump did have a word. But at the end of the day, no matter how they got there, it's the right decision.
He'll definitely tell us that he had a word. Don't believe that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Coming to you next, Daz. So, Daz, obviously you're steeped in the game. A lot of prospects come by the amateur ranks. Good decision for boxing, right?
Yeah, but I absolutely hate amateur boxing.
What?
I think it's an absolute joke.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Don't you see,
honestly, it's an absolute.
Don't you see it as a pathway into?
It's an absolute
pro game,
joke. It can be. It can be for certain fighters, but you know, it can also be the case where you get people on that GB squad who are on there just because the face fits, and when they turn pro, it's a different ball game. But amateur boxing is so corrupt; it's unreal. I mean, how can you have a fight, right, where I mean, your fighter wins the first 2 rounds, and the opponent shows improvement in the third, so he wins the fight. You know, it's an absolute joke. I mean, we had all this with the last Olympics with, I can't remember her name, Imani Khalif, is that right?
Yeah.
You know, there was all the stuff surrounding her. I don't really think that got cleared up properly. It's the scoring, mate, that does me. It is really the scoring. I just think, I believe they have 4 judges as well. Some decisions I've seen of it years, obviously at a lower level as well. Myself suffered a couple. But, in Olympics, you see people losing and you think, well, you've won that by a country mile.
But you do get that.
What are they watching?
You do get that in the pro ranks as well, though, Daz, don't you?
You do, yeah. I'm not saying you don't, but
I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, listen, you're 100% right. And sometimes I hate professional boxing. Sometimes I think professional boxing stinks. And I think some people who judge professional fights should never be allowed near a ring again. But Olympics and amateur boxing is supposed to be, it's supposed to be the start, the lifeblood, the start of a journey. And do you know what? I see that many people, women and men, having the dreams took away because and it's been going. Listen, it's been going on for years, hasn't it? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, look back at Roy Jones. When he won Ender one. I believe Mayweather was as well. I think Mick Conlon weren't he, famously? He had a bit of a rant.
Was it Joe Joyce who had a stinker as well? He got a stinker of a decision, didn't he? Was it Joe Joyce from memory?
Maybe so, yeah. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. I mean, I think there's either a problem with this. I'll be honest, I'm not 100%, but I think a scoring shot, do they all press a button? They press a button if they see a scoring shot. Yeah. And I think 3 out of the 4 have to have pressed for it to count.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Because, no, that's the new system, yeah.
Yeah. So, you land a good shot and only 2 judges press, it doesn't score. Is that my right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's ridiculous.
So all being said,
to me,
all being said, would you rather see it in the Olympics or not as a sport, just out of interest?
Yeah, of course I would. Yeah, of course I would. I'd love it. It's got to be in Olympics.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be in Olympics as much as Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah.
It's probably just behind that. Combat battle.
It needs some changes.
Mate, it needs some massive changes. That scoring system is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
But it needs to change.
Okay, cheers. Harrison, coming to you. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll rifle straight off the back of those comments about the need for change with boxing in the Olympics and all of those decisions you go on about there. Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Michael Conlon. All valid, and you could watch those fights 1,000 times and still come out with the same outcome that Conlon won, Mayweather won, and that's fine. What did happen, and I covered it, and what happened brilliantly in the 2024 Summer Olympics just gone was there was a lot of dramatic changes. There was a quota system for qualification, which seemed to work really well. It still filtered in some of the professionals going back and fighting an amateurs like Beatrice Ferreira. That I don't like seeing. I think once you turn pro, you should just be a professional. I know it's 2 different disciplines, but there's a real unfair advantage there, and it just causes too much for me. But the quota system was really good.
Harrison.
Yeah,
as well that I forgot to mention, Beatrice Ferreira, she's IBF world champion.
Yeah, I don't know that.
But I mean, she didn't win gold, so there is that side of things. But I just don't like the girl who beat her.
No. I mean, I think as a world champion like she is, I think she had a lot more to lose trying to chase that gold medal.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, she's a good fighter. There's no 2 ways about it. But I think when your IBF lightweight champions getting beat in the amateurs, it makes you raise your eyebrows a little bit for me.
Yeah, no, that is a bad look, and that's something I don't want to see. I would like that to be eradicated, but the new system for qualifying is good. It gives smaller nations a good chance to qualify as well. They reduced the amount of weight classes across the 2 divisions as well, which was good because it made for more competitive field sizes. We had some starting in round of 64s, which was really good. they did a lot of things right. And then, like, it was like a shadow period after the Olympics had finished of like, oh, we're going to try to get rid of it again. Because we've been here before. Around 21, 22, and IBA was eventually fucked off. And thankfully they were. It was good to have people come back in and say, no, we need to have boxing at the Olympics. It is so core and color to what the Olympics mean. You know, it's the amateur games for high-level athletes. So to have them return, and hopefully returning anyways to the 28 Olympics, I think is really important.
Formality, I'm being told, obviously, it's a formality. It'll be signed off.
which is great news, and I think it probably helps being in America. This next Olympics coming up as well, because it is an American sport, so they're going to have a great drive for medals. I'm sure they're going to put together like a really, really good roster of amateur athletes going to that Olympic Games. But I think that's the two big things for me, is that I wanted to see it continue in the point system and the lower thinning out the weight classes so that the field sizes are bigger for athletes, so you get more competitive fights earlier on, and don't allow professional boxers to come back a step to have that unfair advantage where, you know, some of them have been in world title fights, experience. Then you've got the idea that, like, for a lot of these amateur athletes, and Daz will know this being a trainer who will have worked through to Team GB systems, is a lot of these are fighting in front of like big crowds for the first time. You're going from like small 200-300 people leisure halls like your call to these like the Stade Giron in France, and you're going to have, I'm sure they're going to stick it in the Coliseum in LA. That is unfair because professionals are more used to that spotlight, so they get too much of a wavering advantage for me. But I think it's great that the Olympics are back at the boxing's back at the Olympics.
Fully agree.
Do you know what I don't like? Just before Sean, do you know what I don't like with amateur boxing at that level? Is you can have somebody at your gym, and you know you train them, you know I'm inside out, and then they get sent off to totally different trainers. And I've been in arguments with this, and I've been called all things for saying this. But if you train a kid a certain way, and it works for him, and he gets onto the GB squad, and then you're passing him over to trainers who work from a to Z training manual, you know, and as much as there is some good, very, very good trainers on Team GB.
Rob McCracken.
But from what I've seen, there's also there's also some absolute clowns. You know, and you put your fighter Augusta Olympics, and you know he's reading from A to Z handbook. You know what to do, and his coach who's coached him for 15 years, and you know I just think that is ridiculous to me.
I agree.
You know, I would like to see them go with their own trainer, their own amateur trainer. You know, even if you're on Team GB, great, represent GB, but have your own trainer. Take your own trainer who you're used to and who's put the work in with you, not someone who is trying to teach you how to all of a sudden throw a nut like Dimitri Bivol just because he's been on tele lately. You know, it's just madness for me that system.
And we are in need of a bit of an overhaul, in my opinion, as well, on a more regional basis. We've just come off the back of the worst medals tally that Team GB have had in the Olympics for a long time for the boxing.
And there's a lot of money invested, right? A lot of lottery money invested into that GB team.
And when you say it like that, it very much quickly becomes no excuses going forward, because we can't continue to ask for more money. I think, other than cycling and the athletics, I think boxing is the third most funded sport that Team GB sends to the Olympics. So from that perspective, the facilities in this country for amateur boxing, phenomenal, up and down the country. We just aren't producing the right athletes at the minute, and I think that's more of a regional thing. Daz makes an absolutely bang-on point there that I think the trainer should carry on through the system up to Team GB, because the problem is if some of these boys are, you know, fighting in one style, they get up to that gym in Sheffield and then everything is being changed for them. And look, like you said, Rob McCracken, a brilliant trainer, and there is some great ones at Team GB, but I think there's a link missing between regional and national level, and I think that's what we need to start focusing on for the next 3 or 4 years, because there's some great young athletes in this country.
There is. Okay, next topic, boys. So this one's for a bit of fun, so don't take this too seriously. I just want to get your thoughts on it.
You and fun. Oh, God.
So, will you be involved in his son's fight? So, a lot of rumours flying around that he will be involved fight week, he won't be involved fight week. It's only right that I come to the Brighton resident on this question first, because he bangs on like Eubanks. Like, he's even sending me photos on social media of sports cars when he's at fight night, which is the OTT, Sean. But thanks for the thought. So, Sean, I'll come to you first. Bit of local intelligence, maybe. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know sort of behind the scenes, they've got Ronnie Davis trying to do his best to sort of bring them together. But so I don't know if you boys saw the Piers Morgan interview that aired the other day with Conor and Chris, but I thought it was very revealing. Probably the most raw and real I've seen Chris speak really in an interview. And I know for a fact, sort of from the local reports and whatnot, what he said was absolutely accurate about his dad. So I think there's a long way to go for Chris Senior to sort of be comfortable to be at the fight. So as much as everyone would love to see it, and it's a whole story of the two dads, and having Nigel and Chris Senior there would be great. I just can't see it. And unless there's a major sort of development and they can repair their relationship, which, let's be honest, it's 5-6 weeks away from this point. I just can't see him being involved, unfortunately.
So is it a no from you then, Sean? Just to clarify, because I will play this back when he walks out.
Yeah. When Junior comes out to Simply the Best and jumps over the ropes, Chris will be there with his monocle. Yeah, I'm sure. But at this point, no, I don't think he'll be there.
Okay, Daz, coming to you next.
Mate, I've got a sneaky feeling he's going to be. I don't know why. I just think he's going to be. And I'll be honest with you, if Simply the Best hits and Junior walks out and then Senior follows, I'll probably get up off at settee throwing some combos. You know.
You say combos, didn't you?
Yeah, combos, yeah, combinations. You know, the Piers Morgan thing, yeah, I mean, that's probably the most emotion type I've seen Junior speak. Yeah. You know, he mentioned his brother Seb's passing away. He said that sort of put a strain. Listen, you can imagine Chris Senior being a massive character. Well, he is a massive character. There's no two ways about it. You know, he's been there, bought the T-shirt. So he's going to think he knows best for Junior. It's his son. And I'm sure his intentions are, you know, absolutely, you know, just he wants the best for his son. I think, listen, let's take the drug thing out of it. Nigel's shown the way our father should be involved in a son's career. He's sort of let him go his own way. Do you know what I mean? He's not really interfered that well. He probably hasn't at all. But you can imagine, you know, Chris Senior being he's a massive shadow, isn't he? Even Junior said that. You know, he's a big shadow. I mean, the man was. Listen, I think Eubank was a better fighter than Nigel Benn, if I'm honest. You know, but they were both brilliant in their own way. I just think Senior is probably trying to live a bit too much through Chris Junior, and you know that's probably affecting him, and he wants to go his own path, maybe. But you know, Chris, listen, we can all second guess it. We don't actually know.
And I think
what
that's
it's like
great, the fact that we don't know whether he's going to be there or not.
Well, no, I mean, it's not the fact that we don't know, but we don't know the extent of their relationship. We don't know whether he's going to be there
or not, do we? Let's be honest.
Listen, Senior could be on phone to Junior now, plotting. Yeah, listen, you walk in when Tina gets into in my heart every day, and all that. You come in when that comes on.
He might be saying to Turkey, I want a few more zeros on that check before I commit.
Yeah, or he might be on phone to his dad saying, Dad, I don't want you there. You know, we don't know, and that's the thing. But I'm telling you what, if Junior walks out to that and Senior walks out with his monocle in, I'm off at settee, I'm telling you.
Now there's a four. So Harrison, coming to you last, fella.
Funny enough, when you put the caption up, I thought like when you said be involved in his fight, I thought you meant like he fights round 6 and then they like tag team out and then Senior comes back out for the 7.
I'm not ruling anything out.
If he's fired up enough, I mean, you never know. Oh, he'll be there. He will be there on fight week. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Because Daz is bang on there. That Senior's trying to live too much in Junior's lifestyle now, and he's been caught up much more in the fight game than Nigel Benn has. Like Nigel, for the first few years of Connor's career, wasn't really that. He did just let him kind of bowl along, get through his next gens, and sort of build up to the British level, and that was the right thing to do. And I'm not suggesting that it's slowed. Well, it has slowed Junior's career down because he barely fights. Does he fights once every 4 years? But it just seems to be a bit more stalled with him. But then, like, we're talking about this being probably the biggest fight in British history, or at least between two British fighters.
Andy's not going to watch it, though, Harrison. Andy ain't going to watch it. Just remember that.
Of course he isn't. And I'm going to take the dog for a walk at 9:30 on Saturday night as well. I just think that the build-up for this has been absolutely huge. It's probably been bigger than I think that Eddie and Ben Shalom have thought it would be. The press conferences blew up. They've been so volatile on social media. They've been on Morgan. They're going to be on, they'll do another one of those ITV sit-downs like the two old men did, won't they? Like they'll be doing news left, right, and centre. They'll probably go over to America. Like they'll do the loss because they need to make this into the fight that it is. And it's so exciting. And I think it's really important to have Senior there on fight week as well, because what he adds is just, he's a bit humorous, he's Marmite as well. Some people like him, some hate him, he's a great character for television. So I've got no doubts he will be there on fight week 100%.
Well, I think he will as well. So Sean, you're a no, Daz is a yes, Harrison's a yes, and I'm a yes. So Sean, you might have bragging rights.
He probably will.
So Joyce versus Ergovic has been announced. So quick one on this one. Who wins and where do these two sit in terms of levels in the current heavyweight division? So I'll come to Daz first. Stinker of a fight, doesn't it?
What date's this on again?
Yeah, it possibly could be. I think Joyce is absolutely shot to pieces. I don't think Ergovic is that good, which might be good news for Joy.
And not
Joyce.
very mobile either, right, Ergovic? Not very.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? This is one of them fights where I'm struggling to pick a winner because they're both awful. You know what I mean? Listen, Joyce is shot. Do you know what I mean? It's not that Joyce is an awful fighter. Joyce has took too many punches. I don't really want to see him take any more, if I'm honest. Ergovic, yeah.
You flatters to deceive, don't you, Ergovic? You flatters.
Yeah, I mean, he looks the part, but just doesn't seem to, I hope Joyce wins, if I'm honest. But then I think, if Joyce wins, he carries on fighting, and I don't think he should be. But there's that saying, isn't there, that people say, well, he's passing all his brain scans, and it's like, yeah, I mean, is it really that cut and dry? When you're slurring, one more shot could cause the damage. Listen, I'm no doctor, but. I just don't think he should be fighting. But listen, I'd like him to win. But then I'm thinking, but then he carries on. But he'd probably carry on if he loses anyway.
So you got your last pound in your pocket then, Daz. Who you pointing it on?
Joyce.
Harrison, coming to you next. Same question.
It doesn't really fill you with confidence, does it? That he's passing his brain checks. Oh, brilliant! Let's get him back in the ring then, shall we? This is a. I best not get put on reporting duties for this because I won't be happy. This is a howler of a fight. Goodness me. Maybe for me, it's a case that one man is being a lot more aggressive in the last 12 to 18 months than the other. Like Filip Hrgovic at one stage was being talked about, sort of like he was going to be handed that IBF belt on a plate.
He was avoided one day. He was an avoided fighter at one stage.
Yeah, but maybe at one stage he was, but then again, I just don't think that he was too marketable. I think that was the issue. Was you you were getting in there with someone who was presenting a live danger up until he lost, and you were gaining nothing out of beating him because his markability just wasn't that good. It's like if you beat Manu Chao now, like what do you gain out of doing something like that? Because he's just not, you know, beneficiary to your profile. I would probably just go with Hrgovic for this because I just think that maybe he's got a bit more left to offer. But then, like, when I say that, neither of these men will ever get anywhere near the mountain of the heavyweight division, in my opinion. Joe Joyce had his chance after he beat Dubois, but he just didn't, and then beat Parker. Like, he looked like he was on a roll, but Zhang slept him twice. He's done nothing really to excite you. It's a shame it's not Dillian White. I really, really would have liked to have seen Dillian White get this fight, to be honest, because I thought that could be the real making of Dillian White personally. Get rid of Joyce, and then, you know, he would offer a lot more, I think, than these two can. I think Hrgovic will win a really, really slow fight. It won't be fought at a pace. I don't think Joyce carries his power anymore. He's too hittable. And I think Hrgovic will do enough to win 8 or 9 rounds, and that'll just do it. And then we can all go to bed at 11.
Okay. On that note, Sean, give us your views.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Harrison said just there, to be honest. It's not the most exciting of fights. He's having a bit of a stinker, Warren, on this card. His first one on DAZN, isn't he? Because I think Coley and Riakpor's falling through as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best starts for him, unfortunately. And I agree. I think Hrgovic will plod to a points decision. Saying that, it'll most probably be fight of the year now, and we'll be talking about how exciting it's going to be. But no, unfortunately, it's got the makings of a stinker, and not one I'm looking forward to, I have to say.
I tell you what, it's a blessing in disguise that Akoli Riakpor fights off the main card as well.
Yeah,
because that is possibly 2 of the most boring hours in the history of British boxing ever if those 2 fights went consecutively.
Yeah, I wonder whether it might be slightly more interesting at heavyweight, where they're not killing themselves to get to the weight. I think it might have been a bit more interesting. I don't know. I might be being kind.
You are, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Hrgovic will beat Joyce as well, because I just don't think it's a competition about who's got the most left, and I think Hrgovic's got a little bit more left than Joyce.
Yeah.
Okay, last topic. So another interesting one. So Eddie Hearn says that AJ's going into camp in about 4 weeks' time, and he expects him out in August/September. Simple question: who do we think he jumps in with? And I'll come to Sean first.
I can see him fighting Parker, to be honest, especially if Parker doesn't get the Usyk or Dubois fight. That's if AJ doesn't fight Dubois himself. So I think it's going to be one of those two. Obviously, the dream would be Fury, but that doesn't look like it will happen anytime soon. So for me, it's going to be either Parker or Dubois.
Okay, Daz, give us who you think he's going to jump in with.
Yeah, I think Parker's going to get the Usyk fight.
I don't think he will. No,
don't you? I think he's going to get it. I do.
Don't get me wrong. I hope he does.
Yeah. Listen, Sean's hit nail on the head, really. I mean, if he doesn't, then, you know, it's a possibility. Parker v. Joshua too. But after that last performance against Dubois, would they not want to just put him in with someone a tad easier, maybe? You know, get a bit of confidence back. And I don't know, mate, to be fair. You know, I would like to see Parker v. Usyk, and then maybe AJ v. Dubois again.
Yeah, because Dillian White's pulled out. Would you throw him in with a Dillian White rematch? Because that's always going to sell, isn't it?
Would it?
I think AJ sells out any fighting.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Who knows, mate? I think personally it's going to be a bit of a. It might not even be Parker or Dubois. It might just be a lower level fighter for him to get a bit of confidence back, to be fair.
Interesting. Harrison?
You can kind of go 2 ways with this, can't you? Like, I can see why there would be big fights for him. I agree with you. He'll sell Wembley out against some 4-26 journeyman.
Yeah.
Like, it won't. It doesn't matter really, because Josh's name is just too big. You could sort of make the list of like fight Parker again, fight Dubois again, go straight back into the big time because maybe AJ's only really interested at that level now. But I'm sided more towards the argument that this is going to be a confidence builder again. Maybe fight Jermaine Franklin again, who's been, he's been consistent to British boxing for a long time. No, I'm not. Yeah, but you have to offer a name of someone who's going to come to give it a go.
The only thing I'd argue, Alison, the only thing I'd argue on that point is we've been here and done it, haven't we? We've done the rebuild, we've done the AJ 2.0. So a British fight fan's going to want to go through that again.
Like you've just said it yourself. AJ will sell out anyone, anywhere, anytime in this country.
I'm just talking about. I'm not talking from a ticket sale perspective. I'm talking from a credibility perspective.
Well, it's up to him. I mean, he can either go back into the big time, but the thing is, if he goes in there again against Dubois, Parker, he won't get the Usyk fight, will he? But like of that nature, he's got to win. Like absolutely has. He didn't need to win that Dubois fight first time out, but this is like absolute. If he loses, he's retiring. If he still wants to fight on for a bit longer, the option will be to fight Franklin, Ajagba, I don't know, Gassiev, someone like that, get his confidence back to a certain level, and then fight again. This isn't being built to me. Sorry, go again.
I worry about his credibility. I worry about his credibility amongst fight fans, Harrison, if he starts jumping in with people like that. And I think he might think about that. Surely he's going to want to go out on his sword.
Yeah,
right?
no, I agree. But I just, if that was going to be the case, I think this would be gaining a bit more traction and there would be a bit more of an exclusive build up to it. This feels quite low key, the fact that we're talking about an Anthony Joshua fight in 4 or 5 months time and we don't know who it's going to be. Normally with AJ, like very early on, there's big build up, there's high press and there's good rumors, but because none of that is in existence at the minute, it makes me think this is going to be of the sort of 9 to 15 ranking type fighters, a Jagbas, Franklin's. And you're right, he will lose credibility off the back of it because it's not him fighting the best of the best, is it? But he's got to be careful here because if he goes back in with Dubois and he gets beat, his career's over. But mind you, maybe he's at the stage in his career where he doesn't mind that too much. Yeah, because my God, he's made his money, hasn't he? He's sold Wembley out twice. He's done 5 national events. He's been to Saudi 3 times. I mean, he's got his money. So if that's,
he might not have the appetite, Harrison. He might not have the appetite to start jumping in with ranking 9 to 15. He might not be able to get up.
Maybe, but he was able to 2 years ago after what Usyk had done to him. I know this is a different timeline, but I honestly, I'm a firm believer that Anthony Joshua has got a great desire to fight. And if you tell him after he loses to Dubois, there's nothing left for you to do in this game, that's really going to hurt home with him. I don't think that as much with Tyson Fury. I think that he wouldn't care. But AJ seems like a real true boxer means a lot to him kind of guy. So he's going to have to be very selective about his campaign in here. Obviously we want to see big fights. So
he's got to have a confidence building fight.
Yeah,
he's got to get that. He's got to get that Frampton effect. He's got to go in with somebody who's, obviously not on his level. He's got to starch him with one shot, and then have people saying, "Oh, he smashes everyone to bits." If he hits anyone like that, they're gone.
He did that last time.
He's got to do it again. He's got to do it again. How many fighters in history, great fighters, have lost, rebuilt, lost, rebuilt?
Yeah. A lot of them. Loads. Mike Tyson did it 2 or 3 times.
It's nothing new.
I worry about AJ. I think AJ's done. I do honestly. I think he's done.
He lose more than once or twice and rebuild and come back, but he needs a confidence builder. And I think AJ, it comes across I think he's a bit fragile sometimes mentally. I think he's a bit.
We've got a comment. I've got a comment in the side from Ra. Good evening, Ra. He says AJ looks like he's stalling to see how the landscape looks post Usyk.
But
I don't think he is.
But what is the landscape going to look like? Because we've heard Fury's retired. He's not. Usyk's going to carry on defending against basically everyone. It's hard to see Usyk get beat. So I get that comment about waiting for the landscape to divide, but he's still got to keep fighting in the meantime because AJ's at least 18 months away from a title shot now, at a minimum of 18 months, because he won't get one in that time because there's now mandatories building up.
Rematch clause with Dubois, though, isn't there? that he can activate?
Yeah, but he has
Yeah,
to
I'm
do it
not
within a
sure.
certain time period, and I'd say that must be running out soon. If that was 12 months, he's got to fight him next. Basically, it could be Dubois. It could.
I think it will be Dubois.
Wembley again, like you can see
I
it.
think he'll roll the dice. I don't think he'll want a I don't know, confidence building fight. I think he'll jump straight back in with Dubois and roll the dice.
Well, he
I
did it with
tell you
Andy
who I
Ruiz
just thought
and
of who
Usyk.
he might fight, actually. I know they're quite pally, but I can see him and Chisora fighting. Chisora's last fight, Wembley Stadium, chuck him in with AJ. I can see that happening. Now I'm thinking about it, to be honest.
God.
I hope not. So I'll just put the comment up on the side. So thanks, Raw. He's put AJ, Fiora, Wilder, Joyce, Zhang, all done at the top. Would all get KO'd by any of the young punchers. They should just fight each other.
What about Moses Atauma? Someone like that? Because it doesn't seem like a crazy step up now, does it, for Atauma?
No. The fight I want to see is Usyk and Parker. I really want to see that.
Could it be Fury? Could AJ fight Fury finally? See, but the thing is, I feel like there would be more talk about it. It would be more in the headlines if it was going to happen.
So another comment. See how 3 of the governing bodies have put AJ and Ergovich up in the rankings despite being inactive since stoppage defeats.
That's governing bodies for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think AJ would jump in with a timer because what's in it for AJ is...
that's just another... A lot.
He may have jumped in with Dubois.
I mean, his career's over definitely if he loses to Moses. At this stage.
AJ's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a very interesting.
Yeah, I firmly believe it's going to be a confidence builder. I really do, because I think, like Harrison said, if he goes in with anyone higher level and loses, where does he go?
Done. He'll retire on the night.
Yeah. So I think it will be a bit of a confidence builder, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I think he's still got it, and I think he thinks that Dubois fight was a bad night at the office, and he can do better. That's why I think he'll jump in with Dubois.
I believe
that.
I believe that was the case. I think that he had an off night against Dubois, and I think if they rematch, I think Joshua's got a really good chance against him again in the rematch. But whether that happens next or not, I don't know.
Yeah. See, I think Parker's got a really good chance against Usyk.
Parker's a very good rounded fighter.
Yeah, but Usyk will still beat him.
Listen, I might have a cheeky 20 on it if you want.
God, Mike, even money about Usyk beating Parker. I mean, I've backed more horses in the last week.
So, Mr. Neutral inside. Good evening, Mr. Neutral. AJ will wait until Dubois loses, then call out Daniel. So he obviously thinks Dubois fights Usyk, I'd imagine, or I don't know who else.
Why are we not just going back and having Dubois Parker fight? Like, why are we not just? I mean, that fight was there. It's baffled to me.
Parker deserved that fight, right? Parker deserved the world title fight.
Like, that makes more sense to me than the Usyk fight. Like, have those two fight, and then whoever wins fights Usyk. No, that just seems really easy to me. But then where's Tyson Fury in the picture as well?
I think people are hyping Daniel Dubois up after that AJ fight. I think it's somewhere in the middle between AJ having a nightmare and a stinker of a night, and Daniel performing quite well. But he's not the next woman.
No.
I think Usyk beats him again.
Yeah.
So Ryan aside says, I think Uncle Frank wants to keep Daniel Dubois having a few easy defences, starting with Derek Chisora.
Awful.
He'll want to push Parker against Usyk to run his mileage up at least, and if he can win. Yeah, I don't think Usyk's going to hang around much longer.
No, I don't.
He's got 2 fights left, he said, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll know himself as well. Getting a bit old. He's not daft, is he? But you see, Parker, to me, Parker seems to be getting better. So it's an interesting fight with him and Usyk. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Parker won, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Usyk won. Parker's a very clever heavyweight.
Yes. What a great job Andy Lee's done with
fantastic.
him.
Yeah.
Fantastic job.
Absolutely.
You know, not just physically, but mentally as well. You know.
So Ross says Parker too dangerous for Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Parker were going to win that fight, to be fair.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack's been sniffing dog food again.
AJ versus Zhang. No, I don't think that happened. I don't think he fights Biconi either. I know there's talk about him going out to Africa and fighting Biconi. I don't think that happens. Right, so I think Frank is waiting on that Usyk retirement because then he has the heavyweight division on lock. To be fair, he has got a strong position in that heavyweight division, bro. I agree.
An interesting one. Someone said it to me the other day. What do you think if Usyk sticks around for let's say another 4 fights and Atama still starts progressing at the rate is progressing at? What would I think to Itama and Usyk? You know, obviously Usyk could be on the decline even more then, and if Itama keeps carrying on Andy's favourite word, trajectory.
Don't forget the angle, Daz. Don't forget the angle.
Yeah. So you know, an interesting point, but I don't think that'll ever happen. I think Usyk will walk off into the sunset before then.
Yeah, interesting.
There's also the option of Opetaya as well for Usyk. He's actually spoke about wanting to move up.
Now he offers a different challenge to Usyk, don't he? A very different challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, another interesting one, but again, you got to favour Usyk as good as Jay is. But like I say, an interesting set of problems.
So Raj put Usyk will get beat if he hangs around that long. There's no signs of him slowing up, though, is there?
You are?
There's no signs of Usyk slowing up.
No, I think there is. I think there is signs that he's, you know, he's slowing a bit, and you know.
Remember, it was still in with a very, very good fighter though, Daz, in Tyson Fury, wasn't it? It was still
I mean, listen, we're going to go back into that territory again where, you know, I said that this era of heavyweights is absolutely mediocre. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't really want to get into that again.
Here we go. If it didn't happen in the 90s, they must be terrible.
Yeah. Has any of you read boxing news this week?
Not today, no.
No, it's actually a tagline: Usyk versus the greats. But I've not had a chance to get it, to buy it, to see what everyone, you know, what they think. But yeah, listen, he's the best fighter. He's the best heavyweight of this generation.
Yeah.
Be a mile. Yep. You know,
he's the best since Klitschko for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, Lennox Lewis is the best. I don't want to go into this territory, but Lennox Lewis, just let me put my marker down. Lennox Lewis is the best heavyweight ever to walk this earth.
Mike Tyson must have played golf then.
Mike Tyson wouldn't have lived with Lennox Lewis at any time of his career. I'm sorry. Lennox Lewis is just too good. So Ra says Usyk has fought 2 guys, AJ and Fury, who themselves have faded him with age. Cabello, Opetaya, Atuma, etc. are all in their prime of youth.
I tell you what, as well, that's a point. That's a sharp, because Cabello for me is the best body punching heavyweight around at the minute.
Bang on,
right?
Does he beat Usyk?
Listen, Usyk does. I don't think he does, but Usyk does not like it.
He don't like body punching.
I mean, who does? To be fair,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody does. I'd rather get smacked on chin, you know, than smacked in ribs. But yeah, listen, that's an interesting fight. That purely for the sake of how good Cabello is and his body punching. Do you know what I mean? So that's one I could be tempted to, want to see.
Jack Gladman, Vitaly Klitschko was better than Vladimir. I think he means
he had the better chin. Yeah, definitely.
I actually think he's a better fighter. I do.
Yeah, he had the better chin. Vladimir was more athletic for me.
Vitaly was a killer, though, wasn't he? He was a killer.
Yeah. Vitaly was. He had the better. He had the better chin.
He gave Lewis kittens, didn't he? He gave Lewis kittens.
Yeah. And I mean, how he took that uppercut from Lewis, I think he hit him that hard under the chin. He added about 4 inches to Vitaly's eye. Yeah. Just unbelievable.
Okay, so we've just come up to the hour mark, so I'm going to bring the show to a close. So first, I'll say a few thank yous. Thank you for all the comments on the side, much appreciated. Good to see you back on the live, guys. We might start doing them weekly again. Thank you to Sean. Sean, thank you very much from Brighton. You can put your Eubank underpants back in the drawer now. Harrison, thank you for joining. I haven't got an horse racing gag, so I'll leave you alone this week. And thank you to Daz. This has been Last Ball Boxing, proudly sponsored by LW Liftings FC Travel. We'll see you on the next live. We'll put it on socials when that's going to be. Like, comment, subscribe.